14th of September. And Victoria's bracing for more rain and flash flooding after parts of the state copped a month's worth of rain in just 12 hours, with flooding in several districts between Horsham and Melbourne. Some schools and more than 100 roads are closed. Landslides shut the Great Ocean Road. In Hamilton, where residents were forced to evacuate, the levee is holding.
The water has impacted across 12 municipalities. As I said, Central and Western Victoria is the predominant area, and we'll see that continue for the next hours.
And wild weather's also lashed South Australia, where homes and businesses have been flooded in the Adelaide Hills. Homes in Harndorf were threatened by flash flooding, but Aldgate's mains went under.
Just trying to rescue as much equipment and stuff that we can, and just waiting for the water to subside.
The Onkaparinga River rose almost 1.5 metres, cutting off the Oakbank racecourse. The Turnbull government's proposed a national gun amnesty in a bid to crack down on illegal firearms crime, the first such amnesty since the Port Arthur massacre 20 years ago. The details are yet to be worked out, but there will be a push for tougher mandatory sentencing for convicted guns.
This is about targeting the grey market, the black market for guns, and getting these guns that are not registered, that are not held properly, off our streets.
And Aussie John Simon is tipped to break real estate records after putting his Sydney mega mansion on the market. The 4-level harbourfront home, nicknamed Aussie Stadium, has 6 bedrooms, 24 bathrooms, 2 swimming pools and a bowling alley. It's expected to be the first house in Australia to fetch more than $100 million.
How many bedrooms was that?
6.
I needed a 7.
I'm out.
Can we get that photo? Can we get that house back?
It doesn't look like a house, does it?
Well, no. It'd live if you're trying to kill James Bond or something. But 6 bedroom. What are all the rest of the rooms?
Well, there's a bowling alley.
The bowling alley takes up a bit of room. You know how a few years ago...
You say like you've got experience in that.
Who? I mean, who doesn't have a bowling alley? I remember a few years ago home theatres was seen as a rarity, and now everyone seems to have them. Do you think alleys might become like that?
I think next would be bowling alleys and time zones next to the bowling alley.
I think if I could have anything in there, I reckon I'd have like a Coles. Like just the bottom floor. Or Woolies or something. You'd never need to go to the supermarket.
I don't understand. That. If you could afford to put a Coles there, why don't you just do all the cooking?
No, because I like cooking. Just go in the shopping centre and the,
What you can do...
So you want to install a place where you can go and spend more money at the bottom of your thing?
Yeah, well, obviously money wouldn't be a problem if I had that place. So.
What you do, you just put random stuff around the house and all of a sudden you have an Aldi. I mean, that's how it works. Some watermelons and business coat hangers.
I mean, I never need to leave the house.
You're right.
All right, well, it's exactly 1 year since we got ourselves a shiny new Prime Minister again. So how's he going 12 months on?
We need a different style of leadership. We need advocacy, not slogans. We have lost 30 news polls in a... It is clear that the people have made up their mind about Mr Abbott's leadership.
And with that, we had ourselves the 5th change of Prime Minister in 8 years. The 29th PM of Australia, Malcolm Bligh Turnbull. So, how's he going? A report card. A week after rolling Abbott, the government 5-point jump in the polls. Things were looking up.
The weight of expectation was huge. I mean, this was a man that people thought looked like a Prime Minister who was possibly born to be Prime Minister.
I remember journalists writing things like he's the new philosopher king. He will be a Prime Minister who's there for at least a decade.
A year on, the story.
He has been an enormous disappointment.
A lot of people have been very disappointed with him.
He's been an utter disappointment.
It's tough being Prime Minister, especially when people are like really, really mean.
You hear that, Turnbull? You're a disappointment. You've let me down, you've let the school down, you've let your country down, and you've let yourself down. And worst of all, this morning I had to put your guinea pig down.
A long-standing supporter of climate change and marriage equality, but wedged by a bevy of angry Abbott supporters to his right, action on anything has been difficult.
He had to make all of these promises to the right wing of the party, essentially. All of the concessions that he's made has not really bought him a moment's peace from the undermining and the whiting.
And while critics are being harsh, the PM has rolled out $100 million for family violence, promised a crackdown on corporate tax evasion, and most importantly, won the election.
Well, barely. I mean, he barely won the election.
I firmly believe that Tony Abbott would actually have won the recent with at least a handful of seats. The outcome is a disaster for the coalition.
I will tell you what else is a disaster, Malky. This flaming report card. If you keep going down this path, you won't amount to anything. Or you will amount to something really good, but then you'll squander the opportunity by pandering to your party's factions.
The question is, can Malcolm change? Can Malcolm get better at being a politician? Can Malcolm get better at handling the constant undermining? I think, you know, the jury is still out on that.
He has not delivered economic leadership. He did not lead the coalition to a glorious victory. He has to lift his game dramatically.
Are you chewing gum, Turnbull? Hand it over. That's better. Dismissed.
That look really suits you. We're joined now by Minister for Defence Industry, Christopher Pyne. Christopher, look, of column inches today on Malcolm Turnbull's first year as PM. Not all of them glowing. What do you believe you guys, as a government, could have done better?
Well, I think we've done it right, actually, in the last 12 months. We've got economic growth at 3.3%. Business confidence is up. Consumer confidence is up. We've created 200,000. We released the National Innovation and Science Agenda. We've got the NBN really humming along now in a way that it wasn't under the previous government. So we've got a lot right. We've still got to get to do a lot more into the future, obviously, because you can't rest on your laurels. But out in the public domain, they're happy for us to be getting on with the job.
Minister, very quick tonight to rattle off a list of the government's achievements. Tony Abbott's former Chief of Staff made the point last week that that list of achievements was not available anywhere, and today is mysteriously available on the Liberal Party's website. Any thoughts there?
Well, you wouldn't release the list of achievements on the first anniversary of the government any other day than the first anniversary of the Turnbull government. So that's why it's been released today, because today is the first year anniversary. It kind of follows logically.
But if you had lots to celebrate that you were achieving, wouldn't you just have it plastered everywhere all year round so everyone could always see it?
Well, the most important thing we do is the next big thing, the next job, the next day. Talking about our achievements, resting on our laurels, is not what the public elected us to do. They want us to keep getting on with the job. And today we passed the Omnibus Savings Bill. That's $6.3 billion worth of savings. So a lot of people said we wouldn't be able to get anything that we wouldn't be able to govern. Well, we've put the light of that already on only day 5 of sittings of the new Parliament.
Mr. Pyne, I just have a question about
You're incorrigible.
As a last resort, it's a government that's not, well, they're not altogether friendly with it. Last resort, do you think there'll ever come a time where you can all get together and support the Prime Minister?
Well, we all are doing just that.
I know you are.
We're a very happy family.
The team. No, you're not.
We are a happy family. All families have some days when they're happier than others, but we are a happy family. We are a good team. We're getting on with the job, and it's starting to dawn on Labor, Pete, that they're on the wrong side of the house, because they're incredibly flat today. The government has its tail up, and we're getting on with it.
I can't let it go that you want to tell us that you're all unified.
Well, I feel like I'm in a happy family. I come from a large family.
All right, so I'm not talking about the Pynes.
We don't always agree with each other about everything.
I'm sure the Pynes are very tight, but but come on.
Very.
Your Liberal Party is clearly divided. You have to accept that. I mean, do you need me to cite examples?
Look, Wally, people have different opinions. In the Pyne family, we don't all have opinions. Sometimes we argue about things.
Okay, I know where you're going.
We're actually a united family, and the same with the Liberal Party. We don't all have to have the same opinion.
No, this isn't about
perfect to have different opinions.
Come on, let's be real. This isn't about different opinions. This is about white-anting. So when Tony Abbott gets on national broadcast media and says the government is in government, not in power, or last year when he comments on a leak of classified documents, which he shouldn't even be commenting on, and says that a decision about submarines that was delayed, flabbergasted at, and that Malcolm Turnbull was compromising our national self-respect. This is not a difference of opinion. This is white-anting. Has Malcolm Turnbull done enough to stand up to that faction of your party?
I'm not a commentator on what other people say to the press, either off the record or on the record. I'm an advocate, activist for good government policies, and I'm just going to keep getting on with my job because that's what I get paid to do. I'm not going to worry about what other people have to say.
So you were happy to commentate when it was happy families, but when there are examples of not happy families, you're not a commentator?
Well, I don't want to be drawn into this particular discussion, so I'm not going to.
He's gone to his bedroom, shut the door.
All right, I guess what happens every Christmas. That's what you do.
Christopher, thanks for your time tonight.
Great pleasure, thank you.